Idaho is a great place to live, but it's not for everybody. Today, I'm gonna share with you the 10 things that I suggest avoiding if you plan on moving here. Let's go. Hey, welcome to another episode of Living Life in North Idaho. My name is Trent, and on this channel, we talk about what it's like living, eating, working, playing, and buying real estate here in Idaho. If that's of interest to you, go ahead and tap that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so every time I come out with a new video, you get notified. So 10 things you want to avoid if you're planning on living in Idaho. Now, not all of these are super serious, but some of them really are. They'll make your time living here much, much better, as well as keeping you alive. Yes, there are people who die up here while doing certain things outdoors. And we're gonna go over those and make sure that you stay safe. So the first thing I suggest you avoid, trying to do it all at once. Now, when you get here, you're gonna realize there are a lot of mountains. There's a lot of logging roads, there's a lot of lakes, there's a lot of rivers, there's a lot of fun things to do outside, but these things take the toys, the big equipment to be able to do it. And for most of my life, I couldn't afford to buy these things, and in the last few years, I've been able to afford to buy them. So, started with one snow bike, and then I realized, you know what, I got a 19-year-old son that I wanna bond with more, I better get another one for him. And then I got a dirt bike. And then I realized, hey, I got a 19-year-old son, I want to bond with him. So I bought another dirt bike for him. Now, while all of this stuff is tons of fun and it brings the family together, every single one of those pieces of equipment require maintenance, it requires repairs, and it requires the know-how on how to operate them safely. I kind of did it wrong, and that's why I have this on my first list of suggestions, is don't try to do it all at once. What I should have done is just started with one thing and got really proficient at doing the maintenance, doing the repairs myself, which I am now, but I also feel like I'm doing maintenance and repairs all of the time. There's always something that needs my attention, needs repair, or it needs maintenance. And unless you have a lot of money to throw at a repairman, you're gonna end up doing a lot of this stuff yourself, and you're gonna wanna know how to do a lot of it yourself, because if you're ever out there in the woods and your bike breaks down, you wanna know how to fix it.
Can anyone hear me? Please help me! I don't wanna die!
So my suggestion is start with one thing, get really proficient at it, learn how to fix it yourself before you jump into something else. It's gonna be a much better experience. The next thing I suggest you avoid doing is going to all the hot spots to eat, the places that are really well known.
Feels good to mingle with these laid-back country folk, don't it, Hare?
I like it a lot.
And the reason I suggest this is it's not gonna feel very different from where you came from. We're a pretty small town, so the known spots are always busy. There's always gonna be a long waiting time. There's gonna be servers that are kind of stressed because they have too many tables to take care of. And we have a ton of local ma and pa restaurants around here that don't get frequented enough because they're not the known hotspots. They've been around forever. Their food is good. It's just that people like to go to the newest, hottest thing and the thing that's right off the main strips. For instance, there's a restaurant called Crazies. It's just a pizza joint, but it's not just a pizza joint, okay? This is a family from the Oregon coast who decided to move here during all the craziness of the last few years, and they home make everything. The wife actually makes these cakes and pies that if I drive by, I'll just stop in and get one. And it's ridiculous. Like, the price of this slice of cake, I can't believe I pay it, but it's so stinking good, and my wife loves it when I bring it home. And you know what? They're not super busy. You can go in there, you can sit down pretty quickly, you get a really, really good pizza, a really good piece of pie, and you're supporting a local family. There are plenty of spots like that here in Coeur d'Alene and all over North Idaho. We do have a special top 10 list that we only give to our clients that work with us. And so if that's something that you want, all you have to do is reach out and let us help you get moved here, and you can get that list. But I highly suggest you look for those small ma and pop restaurants and you frequent them. You're gonna be happier about the experience, and you're supporting a local family, and really, I don't think there's anything better. The third thing I suggest avoiding is going too far Idaho. And what I mean by that is that camo is a tool. It's a tool to help you get close to animals and harvest them while hunting. And while some people think it's a fashion trend, it's not. When you wear too much camo, you end up becoming the tool. So while Idaho is great and we love our style up here, just throw on some Patagonia, some North Face Columbia, nobody really cares. But when you are head to toe in camo or your swimwear is camouflage, there's gotta be a line, and that's where we draw it. So just be yourself. Now, if you're the kind of person that likes to wear Gucci or Louis Vuitton, that's fine. You'll see some women running around with handbags that are probably not real. But I suggest that you probably tone that down a little bit because you might not fit in with the locals as well. I'm just putting it out there. The next thing I suggest you avoid is the urge to buy a monster truck. Yes, this is a real thing. You will see them driving around and you'll think, oh, that's cool. I can get away with it up here. But not really. No one is impressed by your trailer, princess. And what I mean by that is a truck that's built to go off-road and never does because you're afraid to get it scratched. And yes, we do have hundreds of miles of back roads and logging roads, and we also love 4x4 up here. But you want to keep it within reason. Doing some airbags or some shocks, some suspension, some bigger tires, that's cool. But as soon as you get into the 3-foot lifts and the 85-inch tires and the hootenanny and whatever, no, I don't know the nomenclature for that stuff because that was not my passion growing up. I was more focused on impressing women than other men. But hey, no judgment for anybody who's into that kind of thing. No, the most flamboyant truck you can get away with up here, I think, is a Ford Raptor. It's got the performance, it's got the speed, it's got the look, but it's kind of like the affliction shirt of trucks, if you know what I mean. And no hate because I myself own one, but that's the reason I know that it's that kind of truck, because I do own it. But you will want a truck when you move up here. I suggest anybody who's into hunting or dirt bikes or snowmobiles or anything, even towing a boat, having a good truck is definitely a necessity up here. But just don't go too far overboard. You're not gonna impress anybody. Number 5 on the list is avoid the campsites and the tourist spots. You're gonna get up here, you're gonna see how beautiful it is, but you're probably gonna be reminded of where you left. Yes, this is a tourist destination up here in North Idaho and other parts of Idaho. There are so many other spots to go other than the paid-for campsites and the places that all the tourists go. You just have to explore a little bit. And yes, it can be a little bit scary. You're driving out into the woods, there's nobody around you, and who knows, maybe a bear is gonna lick honey off your feet. And you might even experience fear of death. But this is a healthy thing. This is what keeps you alive. It's what helps you connect to nature, and it also helps you to de-stress because you're not gonna be around all the tourists. That is how we keep this place good. Let the tourists go to the tourist spot, and then everybody else, you just go find your spot in nature and enjoy life. I promise you, it's good for the soul and it's good for everybody. Moving on. Now this next one, if you can follow this, your time living here is gonna be so much better, I promise. Avoid the crazies as best you can.
I'm not listening to you, you're crazy.
Now, yes, Idaho has crazy people, just like everywhere. Every place has crazy people. The difference is that our crazies are a little more incognito. They seem like normal people till you get to know them, and then they start saying some stuff and you go, okay. Now, you're of course gonna need me to define who these crazies are, and I really don't want to because they're gonna leave comments in the comment section, but that's okay, let's talk about them. I call them the fortune fairies. That's not their proper name. I don't know what the proper name is. That's what I call them. But what I'm talking about are people who think that they know the future because they interpreted their book so much better than everybody else, enough to know the truth about what's gonna happen.
The end is near! We are all gonna die!
Now, obviously, nobody knows what's gonna happen in the future. In fact, the Bible talks about it. It says only God knows what the future holds, especially during the end times. So for all those people out there going, I know when it's happening, no, you don't. So just enjoy life. Get up here, enjoy the outdoors, enjoy the people, enjoy your life, and avoid the crazies as best you can. And this next one is gonna save you a lot of heartache as well. Avoid buying too big, too soon. Now, a lot of people who live in the city, they want to come up here and they want lots of land. They're like, you know what? Screw 10 acres, give me 100. Why not? The more the merrier. But it's not true. The more acreage you own, the more responsibilities you have. It all has to be taken care of. There's upkeep, and it requires expensive equipment, which also, we already discussed this, requires maintenance and repairs. Now, if you are needing all of that land because you really want to become a rancher, you really want to have your own horses and cows, and that's what you want to do, we will help you do that, I promise. But most people don't need it. They think they need all that acreage so they can hunt. But like I said before, Idaho is mostly public land. So you can have just 5 acres. And if it backs up to public land, you're going to feel like you own 1,000 acres. But you don't have to take care of the public land. That's the government's responsibility. So that's what we normally suggest. But if you really are serious about getting lots of land and you're not totally sure if it's the right move, that's why we're here. Reach out to us day, nights, weekends. It does not matter. My team and I love having that conversation because moving up here, there's a lot of different lifestyles that you can have. And we really like matching people up with the right lifestyle that's going to make their lives better and not make them wake up one day and going, what was I thinking? Because it's not the easiest thing in the world to sell 100 acres. It takes a lot of time. It's expensive to do. So let us help you avoid that big mistake. All right, next one. Avoid going too big too soon. Now, a lot of people, they see all of the outdoor activities here in Idaho and they move here to enjoy those, which is awesome. The problem is that when you don't have experience in those things and you just go out and do it, you decide to go on a multi-day hike up to an alpine lake, or you decide to jump on a snowmobile and go way out in the backcountry where there's avalanches, or you go dirt biking and you don't realize, hey, there's no cell phone service, your bike breaks down and now you're stranded. All of these things can lead to a very bad time.
Look down, you're gonna fall, you're gonna have a bad time.
Now, what you wanna do is come out here and get to know people that are doing those sports and join them. Go out on the groups, go take the classes. There's classes for almost everything out there that will teach you the safety and teach you about the things, the dangers that you might not see. I've been here a long time and I still fall into this category of not knowing what I'm doing if it's something new. I still take classes. In fact, I'm due to go take an avalanche safety course. There's all these different levels of it, and I want to become an expert in it so that when I'm out riding with my friends, I'm not even a liability, I'm actually a help. I'm an asset because I can help them identify potential dangers. Everybody needs that friend. So when you go out to try these new hobbies, make sure you're going out with qualified people who really know what they're doing. It could save your life. Now, number 9, this is the worst one because this will ultimately end up getting people to move out of the state thinking this was a horrible idea, when really, if they would have just heard this before, they could have avoided this mistake. Avoid going from city slicker to Grizzly Adams.
Come on, babe. You're big enough to keep up with me now.
Now, what I mean by that is that the people who live in the city, who've seen some of the stuff going on, they've been watching the news, they are sure because their neighbor told them that the apocalypse is coming and they're really scared. So they want to move up to North Idaho, and they don't just want to live in North Idaho, they want to live in the wilderness, like an hour outside of town. And away from everybody. They want to live off the land, be completely self-sustaining. It's a beautiful dream if that's really what you want, if you want to invest your entire life into it. But the fact of the matter is, unless you're a dentist, a doctor, a proctologist, and a Navy SEAL, you're gonna need to come back to town. You're gonna need to rely on parts of society. That's just the way it is. It's always been that way. We've always needed these professionals and you need to have access to them. And when you make that over hour-long drive to get to town, very quickly you're gonna realize this really stinks. It's not a lot of fun to have to make that drive, especially in the wintertime, because more often than not, you're gonna have a really long driveway and that has to be maintained. And it's not going to be during the winter. You're gonna have other things you need to take care of, and then you end up sliding off the road, or your neighbors or whoever can't come up to check on you. It's a bad problem. We see this happen. This is a real thing. So take steps, right? Get moved here first, maybe live just outside of town and see how that works for a little bit. You can always buy your cabin in the woods and get off the grid like Mark Wahlberg in Shooter and just live that lifestyle. But it's really hard to do that first and then come back, because oftentimes those off-grid properties are more difficult to sell. We see that too. I have a lot of knowledge and experience with the prepping lifestyle. My parents were preppers before it was cool to be preppers. So if you do have questions about it, if you think, no, this is definitely what I want to do, and you just want to have a second opinion, reach out. We can definitely talk to you about that as well. And number 10, and this is probably the most important one because you're going to ruin a lot of relationships if you don't do this. Avoid bringing the place you just left with you. Now, what I mean by that is when you get to Idaho, you're gonna see that there's some really outdated things here. There are some laws and different policies that borderline on the dumb side. I get it, I see it, but the fact of the matter is that over the last few years, I started to understand that these outdated things all of a sudden came back into style. That having a government that's not super efficient and in charge of everything and dictates everything in everybody's lives is actually a really, really good thing. And there's people that move here and it just blows my mind because they move here and they go, well, that's not how we did it back in LA. And they don't talk like that because they're from LA. It's more like LA.
Totally like that.
What I'm saying is, why would you move somewhere and then try to change it? It just doesn't make sense to me. Idaho is not a fixer-upper state, right? It's a wonderful state with wonderful people and wonderful things to do. So my suggestion is you get here and live here for a while and start looking into, hey, why are the things the way they are? And consider the consequences if you did change them. Unfortunately, most people can't see past their nose when it comes to this stuff. And they end up bringing their money and influence and changing things, and it just ends up ruining a place. So try to avoid doing that. You're gonna make a lot more friends as well if you avoid trying to tell people, well, we did it a lot less in LA. You're gonna end up having a much better time. Now, this is just the first list of 10 things to avoid. There's a lot of other things you need to know about moving to Idaho. So at the end of this video, you're gonna see 2 more videos that I've made. You can click on those or go to my channel. There's over 150 videos that I've made about what it's really like living here. Make sure you give this a thumbs up and leave a comment in the comment section if any of this was helpful for you. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you on the next one. Oops.